It don't red for Nigerian army. What you are seeing is armor tanks, heavy, dangerous armor tanks. These are armor tanks deployed into the southeastern Nigeria, that is Biafraland, by Simon Ekpa, a leader and pro-Biafra agitator. Simon Ekpa made the announcement via his verified X handle that they will be launching a military-style equipment, including armor tanks, which is aimed at reinforcing Biafra secessionist agenda. Simon Ekpa made the statement on his official X handle that they will be launching a heavyweight armor tanks in Biafraland, which will be used to fight against Nigerian army, which he refers to as terrorists. He stated that the fight against the Nigerian government will continue until Nigerian government learn to bend, until they learn to accept that Biafra has come to stay. If you watch clearly, you see heavy armor tanks entering Biafraland. So many people in the southeast are already complaining about the equipment, saying that this might trigger a lot of violence in the southeastern region, because for them to introduce these dangerous heavyweight armor tanks, it means that they are heavily prepared for war against the Nigerian army. It is no longer news that the IPOB and the Nigerian army have been in a serious battle. Nigerian army were deployed in southeastern states, most especially in Anambra and Imo states, where there is a heavy fight between the IPOB and the Nigerian army. So Simon Ekpa made it clear on his verified X handle that they are going to launch a heavyweight military style equipment, which includes a dangerous armor tanks that will be used to fight for secessionist movement. The Biafra are agitating for a republic, for a state republic, but the Nigerian government has refused them their wish. Before, they were protesting free and fair protest. Before, they were protesting for the Nigerian government to allow them to leave the country and form their own country. But the federal government refused. Instead, the federal government sent the military to disrupt their activities. And since then, there has been a heavy war going on in the southeast, most especially in Olo, Oso, Ihiala, and other communities in the southeast, where the Nigerian military and the IPOB military are engaged in war. Simon Ekpa also claims that the international organization, including the IMF and the UN, are aware of these developments and funds are being prepared to support their efforts. Simon Ekpa is saying that the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations organization are aware of the heavy equipment that has been brought to Biafraland. He further stated that there is heavy funds that is coming to Biafraland. That is to say, the international community, that is the UN and the International Monetary Fund, are preparing enough funds for the Biafra movement. He said that the aim of the fund is to support the Biafra effort in establishing a sovereign state. Simon Ekpa's followers allege that over 7,000 military units have been deployed in Nigerian southeastern region, implying significant military preparation for conflicts. Some eyewitnesses who saw the heavy armor tanks being deployed in the southeast have stated that the magnitude of these heavy armor tanks signals war. This means that the IPOB are preparing for a severe war against the Nigerian military. Since they have pleaded with them to allow them form their own country, they refused. Instead, they sent down the military. So in retaliation, the IPOB, which is led by Simon Ekpa, decided to organize an interim government, which is now known as the Biafran government in exile, which Simon Ekpa stands as the prime minister. So after the declaration of this interim government, they have launched several attacks against the Nigerian military, and they have also received support from international organizations. Just like Simon Ekpa stated here, that the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations organization are aware of the development that is happening right now, and our funds are being prepared to support their efforts, which means the UN and the IMF are in support of what Simon Ekpa is doing. And also, some followers of Simon Ekpa have alleged that they saw over 7,000 military units being deployed in southeastern Nigeria, implying a significant military preparation for conflicts. That is to say, there is extensive war that is going to happen very soon, because the Biafrans are prepared to secure the land. There is extensive discussion around the marginalization of some certain ethnic groups in Nigeria, particularly the Igbos, and the complex political and geographical division within Nigeria. The essence of the Biafra clamoring for secessionists is due to marginalization melted on one ethnic group, particularly the Igbos. The Igbos have been marginalized for years, since after the Biafra War, which took place from 1967 to 1970. Since then, the Igbos have been marginalized both politically, economically, and socially. It looks as if they have not been fully accepted in Nigeria. And for the fact that they are not welcome in Nigeria, the Igbos are now telling the government to allow them to go and form their own country so that they can live peacefully and have their own rules and regulations. But the government refused to accept their request. Instead, the government kidnapped their leader, which is Nnamdi Kanu, and detained him in the DSS dungeon. Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya in 2021 and has been in DSS dungeon for over 3 years. So the kidnap of Nnamdi Kanu caused a lot of controversy in Nigeria and also increased insecurity in the southeast. So after the abduction of Nnamdi Kanu, that is when the Biafra decided to go into arms. Before, they were doing what we call peaceful protest. Like when Nnamdi Kanu was still out, before Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, the Biafrans, the IPOB, they were doing peaceful protest, calling for the government to give them a referendum so that they can form their own country. But the government reacted in a very hostile way by arresting and detaining their leader. So ever since Nnamdi Kanu was arrested and detained by the DSS, That is when the IPOB decided to go into military way, which means that since they have tried a peaceful protest, it doesn't work, let them go into military. So since then, there have been heavy clash between the pro-Biafran military and the Nigerian military. That is to say, there has been conflict, there has been war between IPOB military and the Nigerian army. Now, Simon Ekpa has sent warning to his followers about misinformation circulating on social media and urged them to focus on the real issue, which is the Biafra struggle, while avoiding distractions. So many people that do not support the movement have been criticizing Simon Ekpa on social media that he's just making noise, that the armor tank that he claimed he brought to the east is not true. They are just making some kind of blah blah blah. Simon Ekpa now sent warning to his followers to ignore the misinformation circulating on social media and urge them to focus on the real issue of the Biafra struggle while avoiding distraction. So if you look straight on the screen, you will see the armor tanks. You can see the Biafran army uniform, see them as they are entering Biafraland with heavy armor tanks. So this shows that they are ready for war. This war is going to be very, very massive, since the Nigerian government have refused to accept their requests. When they came with peaceful protest, the Nigerian government refused to accept their request. Instead, the Nigerian government was hostile on them to the extent of kidnapping their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who has been in DSS dungeon for almost 3 years. So since Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, there has been a lot of conflict in the southeastern Nigeria, where the Biafra agitators are angry that their leader, which is Nnamdi Kanu, has been in detention for 3 years. They have implemented different methods so as to let the government know that they are angry that the Nigerian government is holding their leader Nnamdi Kanu in hostage for over 3 years. They have implemented different method to let the government know of their anger, which include sit at home. Every Monday in the southeast Nigeria, there is sit at home. Nobody comes out to do business. Everybody stays at home every Monday. So this was to let the government know that the Igbos are not happy with what the government is doing. That means the Igbos are 100% in support of the Biafra movement, and they are telling the government that the government should release Nnamdi Kanu, since the man did not do anything wrong to warrant his detention and illegal prosecution. So that is what is trending right now. You can clearly see the armor tank. So I just pray and hope those in the southeast will have peace of mind, because these armor tanks that has been deployed in the southeast is definitely going to affect them, because most of them will be sleeping with one eye open, one eye closed, because this armor tank is going to provoke the Nigerian military, especially the Nigerian army, and only God knows the next action. Until then, that is all I have for you in this news update. I'll see you again in my next video. Enjoy the rest of your day.